So we'll now look at the very basics of logical operators, what they are. They do sound a little bit more complicated than they are, but we're going to be creating an if statement and basically just checking expressions using logical operators to check if the expression evaluates to true or false. So let's go ahead and create an if statement. We'll go ahead and create a couple of variables as well that will just hold both true and false values, so Boolean values. So I'm going to say admin equals true, and I'm also going to say moderator equals true as well. So inside of our if statement, we know that we evaluate an expression to be true or false. So what happens if we say if admin, well, this will evaluate to true. So if we echo out true, we hop over to our browser, we can see that we just have output true. Now what happens if we want to check if both admin and moderator are true? Well, we can use the double ampersand, which basically just will check if both of these evaluate to true, so the entire expression evaluates to true, and then we have a true value. Now let's just add an else onto here just to echo out false, just so we can see that what we're working with. So if I was to say if admin and moderator are both true and I change moderator to false, then what's going to happen now is this will evaluate to true, this will evaluate to false, and therefore the entire expression will evaluate to false because both of these are required to be true. So when I go ahead and refresh now, we see the false string output. Now we can also use OR to detect if either of them are what we expect. So what we could say is we could say if, and I'm just going to put these in brackets, if admin equals true or moderator equals true. Now this isn't absolutely necessary because without the brackets here and without the comparison with the type checking, it works in a similar way anyway. The only difference here is that we are in fact type checking. This just makes it a little easier to see what we're doing. So if this expression evaluates to true, which it will in terms of this because admin is equal to true, and moderator, or this expression here evaluates to true, which it won't because we're false, we're still going to get this line run because when we're using OR, it basically means this has to be true or this has to be true. And we can of course use this multiple times as well if we had other variables or things that we wanted to check. So in this case we'll see true, whereas before when we were using double ampersand for and, this would equal false. So basically this is the two operators that you'll see used most. We also have the keywords and or, which basically have less precedence over the double ampersand and the double pipe. So we have and or, like this, but there's information in the PHP manual about these, so you can go ahead and look that up. Now there is one logical operator that's extremely useful and you'll see it used in many circumstances. Let's just say, let's just get rid of this and we'll echo false. Now what we can do is we can check if things are falsy by just using an exclamation mark, which makes working with if statements a lot easier. It just shortens everything that we need to do really. So instead of saying something like if admin, well, we can say admin equals true. We can say if not admin. So this basically means, is this a faulty value? In this case, it's not. So when we go ahead and refresh the page, you'll see that nothing is output. If this was false, you can see that this output is false. Now what happens if we change it to something like 0? Because technically 0 is falsy. We still get false. We still got the false value. So in the case that we wanted to type check admin to check if it was false, it might be better to say if admin equals false, like this. So it really depends. But if you're just checking a value this way, it makes it extremely easy to read. We sort of see this as not, and it's called, the name of the logical operator is not. So we're saying if not admin. So that's how you would typically read it if you were reading out the code. So that is a very basic overview of logical operators in PHP and how we use them. we've looked at and, or, and not, and there are of course a couple of other operators like the and, or operators, and XOR as well, which you can go ahead and look up in the PHP documentation.